doing estimation in story points by using technique called planning poker. Let's understand and explore how it helps us in doing good estimation. So, it is a technique where you can say it is a kind of a approach or a facilitated brainstorming session where we are brainstorming about a given story. So, you can say that it is a round table where your team members are sitting and someone who understands the business well is presenting the requirement to them in the form of user story and now asking them to make their judgment about what they think about this particular user story compared to the other user stories which they might have already estimated, which are there in the product backlog. So, it is like this: when I have this story, I need to judge, is it more complex than something which we have already estimated as a 5, or is it something which is simpler than which we have already estimated 5, something like that, yeah, any number, but we have some reference stories which are having 1, 2 and other numbers, and we are judging where it stands. So, how this whole judgment is made? So, the requirement is clear. We have a story which is lying in front of the team and we need to come up with a one number so that we can tell this story is 3, 5, 1, 8, 13, what it is, depending upon the other stories which we have estimated before. So, it may look like a very simple thing, but there could be various challenges. The different people may have a different understanding about the work. Yeah? They may think that it requires different kind of time, volume, complexity, investment. There is a possibility someone might be viewing more from the test perspective, someone might be viewing more from a UI perspective, somebody might be viewing more from business logic perspective, but ultimately they need to come up with a one story complexity number which will represent the overall size of the work. There is no fixed ratio of all these activities, but it has to be done with the help of brainstorming. Now, in order to facilitate this brainstorming or facilitate this group activity, we use a technique called planning poker. So, planning poker technique tells about all these guys can have a poker cards. So, what are these poker cards? These cards are having the numbers which we are picking up, like the Fibonacci series 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, whatever the numbers we want to give to. So, each individual has these cards, these people have these cards and they are holding these numbers set with them. Yeah. So, it is like, okay, I have this estimation card, and when the story comes to the discussion, the product owner may explain the whole details about the user story and may answer various questions the team might have. And after answering those questions, the facilitator, maybe a scrum master facilitating this or a project manager facilitating this, may ask all these team members to think about it and come up with a number. So, this is like a wideband Delphi technique where without getting influenced by someone else, I am as a one contributor looking at this thing and checking up, looks like this is this complex. Yeah. So, I need to pick up my number, say I pick up a number already and I have taken a decision. They show that everyone has an indicator to show that we have made the decision, and then the scrum master may facilitate or whoever is facilitating and tells them to show, I show. Yeah. Now, everyone starts showing. There is a possibility we may have a differences, someone is saying 8, 8, someone is saying 3, someone is saying 5, someone is saying 13, but we have this information given. So, one way is that everybody put a card on the table so that we know, like this person is putting 8, this person is putting 8, this person is putting 15, 13, maybe 8 and maybe 5 again. So, these guys are putting their cards on the table or some way to show it. If you are using virtual mode, again you can use some way to show that these are the choices we have made. Now, again there is no right and wrong choice. Whenever we do an estimation, we do based on some assumptions. Sometimes we explicitly tell those assumptions, sometimes we keep those assumptions in our head. Now, those assumptions need to be shared. We do not know absolutely what is the number attached to it, but we want to have a shared understanding about the particular user story, and that is the utility of this planning poker activity. It is just not getting a number for a user story, but getting a shared understanding of what is involved in this particular user story. So, someone is having 13, we need to explain what makes the person feel it is 13, why it is so complex. The person may share that idea. There is a possibility the person who knows about requirement may approve those ideas. You say, yeah, this all is needed, and while listening to this, The people who have scored 5 may say, okay, we underestimated this activity. They may realize that. And after that, we may also ask the people who have scored less to explain what makes them say it is less than 8. So why we are picking 8 and 5 and 13 guy only? We are taking the outliers. We can say 8 is a majority. We can say it's a commonly people are believing this is around 8. 5 and 13 seems to be outliers. Let's understand the viewpoint of these people so that we can clarify. Yeah, we can clarify what all is involved and we understand each other's perspective, and after that we may agree to our number directly, or if it is not, maybe the Scrum Master may say, okay, after listening all this, let's do it again. Yeah, and you may again given a time to think about it, then you indicate you have made a decision and you show it, and it may becomes a common number, and then you move forward. Even if one person is thinking differently, but the person may agree with the number to go with. If you say no, what will happen if the one person is not in agreement with a given number, then we have a different problem. We may not have an estimation problem, we may have a team related problem. The idea here is we need to understand and explain to each other and develop a common understanding. And these numbers are not representing how many days I will take to do it. It is not associated with any engineer's performance. It is just talking about, okay, over relatively, if we look at the other user stories which are estimated before, the simplest can get started with a 1. Over those relative ranking, where do we want to put this particular user story by giving a particular number? And this way of doing is a planning poker. Now somebody will say, when do we do this? Multiple times. Usually as a part of backlog refinement meeting, and usually once in a 2 months or once in a 3 months. If you are doing long duration project, you may do a release planning where you want to estimate whole work which is pending and which is expected to come in the next 3 months time in a little bit more detailed way. Please don't assume that this is a one-time activity. Yes, it has to be done at a product backlog level, and we refine it periodically, every other month or as a part of backlog refinement. When I say when we refine it periodically, that time we may relook at whole product backlog to have a better calibrated user stories and an estimation. In between, when the new stories are coming and few stories are getting added, we may do a small estimation exercise for those added items only as a part of backlog refinement meeting. This activity or planning poker level story point estimation may not necessarily be a part of your sprint planning activity, because sprint planning you can use whatever it makes sense, because you want to focus more clearly to identify how can we do it done, because we start doing design discussions also there. But here we are doing high level discussion and we are doing periodically as a part of backlog refinement. So this is all about planning poker.